I stood at my mother's funeral reception, watching my son announce to 63 people that she hadn't been lucid when she signed over her house, $420,000. He'd closed the sale 3 weeks before her death. The room went still. I didn't cry. I stood up slowly, walked to my car, and came back with her diary. Then I read aloud what she'd actually written about him. His lawyer called 40 minutes later and said we needed to talk immediately. Let me tell you how we got here. The reception was at my sister Caroline's house, the one with the marble countertops and the professionally landscaped yard. She'd hired caterers. There were salmon pinwheels and some kind of flatbread situation. I was standing near the kitchen island, holding a glass of water I hadn't touched, when my son Marcus stood up in the living room and cleared his throat. He was 26. Tall. He had his father's build and my mother's ability to command a room without raising his voice. I watched him smile at the aunts and uncles and cousins, all of them holding their little plates, and I knew something was wrong before he even opened his mouth. He had that look, the one he got when he'd already decided he was right. "I want to thank everyone for coming," he said. "Grandma would have loved this." People nodded. Someone said, "She would have." "I also want to address something before rumors start," Marcus continued. "Some of you might hear that I sold Grandma's house before she passed. That's true, we closed 3 weeks ago." Caroline's hand stopped halfway to her mouth. Her husband Robert set his drink down. My brother David looked at me. I looked back at him. I didn't move. "The house sold for $420,000, Marcus said. "I know that might seem sudden to some of you, but Grandma asked me to handle it. She wasn't lucid at the end. She was confused. She needed someone to make decisions for her, and I was there." I set my water glass on the counter. The sound of it meeting granite was louder than I expected. "I just want everyone to know that this was what she wanted," Marcus finished, even if she couldn't articulate it clearly at the end. He sat back down. My sister-in-law Amy reached over and squeezed his hand. She whispered something to him. He nodded. I walked out to my car. It was parked in Caroline's circular driveway, behind my uncle's truck. I opened the back door and picked up the leather journal my mother had kept for the last 8 years of her life. I'd taken it from her nightstand the day after she died. I'd read it twice since then. I knew exactly which pages I needed. When I came back inside, people were starting to eat again. The volume had come back up. Caroline was near the fireplace, talking to our Aunt Janet. Marcus was checking his phone. I walked to the center of the living room. I didn't ask for anyone's attention. I just started reading. March 9th, 2023. Marcus came by today. He wanted me to sign a power of attorney. I asked him why. He said it would make things easier when I got older. I'm 71. I told him I'd think about it. After he left, I called Jean and asked if that was normal. She said her son never asked her to do that. I'm not signing anything. The room got quiet again. Different quiet this time. June 2nd, 2023. Marcus called 3 times today. He wants to talk about the house. He says the market is good. He says I should sell now while I can get a good price. I told him I'm not selling. This is my home. He said I was being stubborn. I said maybe so. Marcus stood up. "Mom, what are you doing?" I didn't look at him. I turned the page. September 14th, 2023. I had to ask Marcus to leave today. He showed up with some kind of appraiser. I didn't invite an appraiser. He said he was just trying to help. I told him I didn't ask for help. He got angry. He said I was going to regret being difficult. I asked him to leave. He left. I locked the door after him. "That's enough," Marcus said. His voice was louder now. January 7th, 2024. Marcus came by with paperwork. He said it was just insurance documents. I called my attorney anyway. Patricia looked at them. She said they were deed transfer papers. I told Marcus I knew what they were. He said I was being paranoid. I told him to get out of my house. He said I was going to lose everything if I didn't listen to him. I told him to get out again. He left. I'm changing my will tomorrow. I closed the journal. I looked at Marcus. He was standing next to the couch. His face was red. Amy had her hand on his arm, but he shook it off. "She wasn't in her right mind when she wrote that," he said. "She was sharper than you are," I said. Caroline stepped forward. "Maybe we should do this privately." "No," I said. "He made it public. We're keeping it public." My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out. Unknown number, I answered. "Mrs. Harrison?" A man's voice, professional, tense. "Yes. This is Michael Chen. I'm Marcus's attorney. We need to meet tomorrow morning if possible." I looked at Marcus. He was staring at me. He knew I'd answered. He knew who it was. "I'll check my calendar," I said. "This is urgent," Michael said. "There are some documents that need to be reviewed. I think it would be in everyone's best interest if we handled this quickly." "I'll have my attorney call you," I said. Her name is Patricia Reyes. I know who she is, Michael said. I hung up. Marcus left the reception first. He didn't say goodbye to anyone. Amy followed him. She gave me this look like I'd ruined something sacred. Maybe I had, I didn't care. The rest of the family stayed. Some of them came up to me after. My Uncle Frank hugged me and said, I never liked that boy. My cousin Melissa asked if I needed anything. Caroline didn't speak to me. She started cleaning up early. Robert helped her. They worked around everyone, picking up plates, wiping down surfaces, making a point. David sat down next to me on the couch after most people had left. How long have you known? He asked. About the house? 2 days. I found the closing documents in her safe deposit box. No, he said. How long have you known he was like this? I thought about it, really thought about it. Since he was 19, I said. He borrowed $5,000 from her for tuition, never paid it back. When she asked about it, he told her she'd agreed it was a gift. She hadn't, but she let it go. I should have paid attention then. David nodded. What are you going to do? I don't know yet, I said, but I did know. I'd known since the moment I heard Marcus say my mother wasn't lucid. I'd known what I was going to do. I just wasn't ready to say it out loud yet. Here's what you need to understand about my family. We're the kind of people who care very much about appearances. My parents weren't wealthy, but they were comfortable. My father worked in insurance. My mother was a teacher. They bought their house in 1984 for $87,000. By the time my mother died, it was worth $420,000. That money mattered. Not because any of us needed it, but because it represented something. My sister Caroline married a surgeon. They have the big house, the nice cars, the vacation photos from Italy. She's never worked. She's told me more than once that she doesn't understand why I do. You could marry someone successful, she said once. You don't have to work so hard. I was 32 when she said that. I just closed my first contract worth over $250,000. I didn't tell her. I smiled and said maybe she was right. My brother David is a high school principal. Good man, steady. He married his college girlfriend. They have 3 kids. They're fine. They've never had extra, but they've never gone without. David doesn't think about money the way Caroline does. He just wants everyone to get along. And then there's me. I'm the youngest. I'm the one who was supposed to need help. I'm the one my mother worried about. When I got pregnant at 23, unmarried, Caroline said it was typical. She's always been impulsive, she told my mother. I heard her say it. My mother didn't argue. I married Marcus's father 8 months after Marcus was born. The marriage lasted 4 years. He was a good man. We were bad at being married to each other. We divorced when Marcus was 3. My mother told me I should have tried harder. Caroline agreed. David stayed out of it. I worked in insurance after the divorce. Small firm. I was good at it. I understood risk. I understood how to talk to people who were scared about losing things. I built a client base. When Marcus was 7, I left that firm and started my own business. Consulting, risk management for mid-sized companies. My family thought it was a hobby, something to keep me busy. Caroline asked me once when I was going to get a real job. I told her this was a real job. She laughed, not mean, just dismissive, like I'd said something cute. I mean something with benefits, she said. Security. I just signed a contract worth $115,000. I was paying for benefits myself, better ones than Caroline's husband got from the hospital. I didn't tell her that either. When Marcus was 12, my mother suggested I move back home. Just until you get on your feet, she said. It would be good for Marcus. He could have a yard. I had a condo, 2 bedrooms, paid for. I'd bought it outright the year before. I told her I was fine where I was. I just worry you're stretching yourself too thin, she said. You don't have to prove anything. I started making real money when Marcus was 15, multiple contracts, steady clients, revenue that would have surprised anyone who knew me. I kept it quiet, not because I was ashamed, because I liked knowing something they didn't. Every time Caroline made a comment about my little business, I'd think about my quarterly earnings. Every time my mother asked if I needed help, I'd think about the money I'd put aside for Marcus's college fund. $65,000 by the time he graduated high school, full ride to state, academic scholarship. He didn't need the college fund. I kept it anyway. Told myself I'd give it to him when he graduated, something to start his life with. He graduated in 4 years, business degree. Good grades. He got a job at a consulting firm in the city. Started at $48,000 a year. He was proud of it. I was proud of him. I gave him the college fund money, all of it. He cried. He said I'd sacrificed everything for him. I told him I hadn't sacrificed anything. I told him I'd built a life I was proud of, and he was part of that. 2 years later, he bought a car, $62,000, financed. He showed it to me at Sunday dinner at my mother's house. Caroline said it was beautiful. Robert asked about the specs. My mother looked worried. Can you afford that? She asked Marcus. I'm doing fine, Grandma, he said. She looked at me. I shrugged. He was 23. He had a job. If he wanted to buy an expensive car, that was his choice. Maybe talk to your uncle about insurance rates, she said. David worked in education. He didn't know anything about car insurance, but Marcus nodded anyway. I will, Grandma. He never did. 6 months after that, Marcus started asking my mother about her will. Just casual questions at first. Have you updated it recently? Do you have everything in order? She told me about it over the phone. I think he's just worried about me, she said. Maybe, I said. You don't think so? I didn't answer right away. I was in my office. I had 3 monitors in front of me. I was reviewing a contract worth $340,000. I'd built this, all of it, and my family still thought I needed help. I think you should talk to Patricia, I said. Make sure everything is documented the way you want it. You think Marcus would? I think you should talk to Patricia, I said again. She did. She updated her will. She left the house to be split 3 ways. Me, Caroline, David, equal shares. Marcus wasn't in it at all. She told me that part over coffee. I love him, she said. But he's young. He'll inherit from you someday. This is for my children. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. Marcus started visiting my mother more often after that. Once a week, sometimes twice. He'd bring groceries. He'd fix things around the house. Little things, a loose cabinet door, a window that stuck. My mother told me how helpful he was. He's such a good boy, she said. I didn't argue. What would I say? Your grandson is visiting you too much? That would sound paranoid. And maybe I was wrong. Maybe he just wanted to spend time with her. People do that. But then the appraiser showed up. September 2023. My mother called me that night. Marcus brought someone to look at the house, she said. I didn't ask him to. What did the appraiser say? I didn't let him in. I told Marcus I wasn't selling. What did Marcus say? She was quiet for a moment. He said I was being difficult. I drove to her house the next day. I brought lunch, sandwiches from the place she liked. We sat at her kitchen table, the same table where I'd done homework as a kid, and I asked her what was going on. I don't know, she said. He's been different lately. He keeps talking about the market, about how I should sell while prices are high. Do you want to sell? No, this is my home. Then don't, I said. He's my grandson. And it's your house. She picked at her sandwich. She'd only eaten half. He said I'd regret it if I waited too long. I felt something shift in my chest. Not anger, not yet, something colder. Did he say why you'd regret it? No, he just said the market wouldn't stay good forever. I stayed for 3 hours. We talked about other things, her garden, her book club, the neighbor's dog that barked at night, normal things, but when I left, I sat in my car for a few minutes before starting the engine. I pulled out my phone and called Patricia. I need you to do something for me, I said. What's going on? I need you to make sure my mother's estate is airtight. No gaps, no wiggle room. Elena, what happened? I told her, all of it, the visits, the appraiser. The comments about the market. I'll review everything, Patricia said, but if she's not giving him power of attorney, there's not much he can do. Make sure she doesn't, I said. I can't control, talk to her, make sure she understands. I will. She did. My mother called me 2 days later. Patricia came by, she said. We went over everything. I'm not signing anything Marcus brings me, I promise. Good. You really think he'd try something? I wanted to say no. I wanted to believe my son wouldn't manipulate his grandmother, but I'd seen the car. I'd heard the questions. I'd watched him smile at her while asking about her will. I think you should be careful, I said. That was November 2023. My mother died 4 months later. February 2024. Heart attack. Sudden, she was at the grocery store. She collapsed in the produce section. Someone called an ambulance. They tried. She was gone before they got her to the hospital. David called me. I was in a meeting. I saw his name on my phone and I knew, you always know. I left the meeting. I drove to the hospital. Caroline was already there, so was Marcus. He hugged me when I walked in. He was crying. I held him. He was my son. My mother was dead. We stood there in the hospital hallway and cried together. The funeral was 3 days later. Standard service. My mother had planned it herself. She had everything written down. What music she wanted. What readings. She'd even picked out her dress. Navy blue with white buttons. She'd worn it to my college graduation. We buried her next to my father. He died 6 years earlier. Cancer, long and ugly. My mother had nursed him through it. Now they were together again. Caroline said that at the burial. They're together now? I nodded. I didn't cry at the burial. I'd done my crying in the hospital. The reception was supposed to be simple. coffee and cookies at the funeral home, but Caroline insisted on hosting it at her house. Mom would have wanted something nice, she said. I didn't argue. Let Caroline have her moment. I didn't know about the house yet, not until 2 days after the funeral. I went to the bank to access my mother's safe deposit box. Patricia came with me. We found the closing documents. Sale date, January 19th, 2024, 3 weeks before my mother died. Buyer, some investment company I'd never heard of. Seller, my mother. Signature, my mother's signature. Witnessed by Marcus Harrison. I stared at that paper for a long time. Patricia stood next to me. She didn't say anything, she just waited. How? I finally asked. She must have signed it, Patricia said. She told me she wouldn't sign anything. I know. She promised me. Patricia pulled out her phone. She made a call. I heard her talking to someone, legal terms I didn't follow. When she hung up, she looked at me. I'm going to need to see all the documents, she said. Everything related to the sale. Why? Because if she was coerced or if she wasn't mentally competent, she was competent. Then we need to figure out how this happened. It took Patricia 4 days to track down all the paperwork. The investment company had already flipped the house. They'd sold it to a young family for $465,000, $45,000 profit in less than a month. The money from the original sale had gone into an account with my mother's name on it. Joint account. The other name on the account, Marcus Harrison. The account was empty. Transferred out 2 days after my mother died. All of it, $420,000. Gone. I called Marcus. He didn't answer. I called again. He texted me back, in a meeting, call you later. He didn't call me later. I drove to his apartment. It was early evening. His car was in the parking lot. $62,000 car. I knocked on his door. He answered. He looked surprised to see me. Mom, hey, I was going to call you. We need to talk. I'm actually on my way out now, I said. He stepped aside. I walked in. The apartment was nice. New furniture, expensive looking. There was a huge television on the wall, 80 inches at least, some kind of sound system set up around it. When did you get all this? I asked. I've been doing well at work, he said. Got a promotion. When? Last month. How much are they paying you now? He shifted his weight. Why are you asking me this? How much, Marcus? $70,000. I looked around the apartment again. The furniture alone probably cost $20,000. The TV was another 3 or 4. The sound system, the new car, the math didn't work. I know about the house, I said. His expression changed. Not guilt, something harder, defensive. Grandma asked me to handle it, he said. She told me she wasn't selling. She changed her mind. When? In January, she called me. She said she'd been thinking about it and she wanted to sell. You're lying. I'm not. I pulled out my phone. I showed him the photo I'd taken of her diary entry from January 7th, the one where she told him to get out. He read it. His jaw tightened. She was confused, he said. She wasn't confused when she wrote that. She was old, Mom. She wasn't thinking clearly. Don't, I said. Don't you dare say that about her. It's true. She was paranoid at the end. She thought everyone was trying to take advantage of her. Everyone or just you? He stepped back. I'm not doing this. Where's the money, Marcus? What money? The $420,000. Where is it? That's none of your business. It's exactly my business. That house was supposed to be split between me, Caroline, and David. You had no right. She gave me the right. She signed the papers. You manipulated her. I helped her. She wanted to sell. She needed someone to handle it. I was there. You weren't. That landed. It was supposed to. I felt it hit. But I didn't react. I'd spent 20 years not reacting when my family said things like that. I'm going to fight this, I said. Good luck, everything was legal. She signed, it was witnessed. The sale went through, the money was in a joint account. She gave me access to it. She gave you access so you could manage her affairs, not steal from her. I didn't steal anything. It was my inheritance. Your inheritance comes from me, not from her. He laughed, actually laughed. Your inheritance? Mom, you run a little consulting business out of your condo. You drive a 10-year-old car. Caroline's husband is a surgeon. David's a principal. What exactly do you think you're going to leave me? I could have told him then. I could have pulled out my phone and shown him my business accounts. The portfolio Patricia had helped me build, the investments, the real estate holdings, the retirement accounts. I could have shown him that I had more than Caroline's surgeon husband would ever have, more than he could imagine, but I didn't. I just looked at him, my son, the boy I'd raised, the one I'd given everything to, and I saw someone I didn't recognize. You're going to regret this, I said. No, he said, I'm really not. I left. I sat in my car in his parking lot and I called Patricia. File everything, I said. We're going after him. Elena, I need to tell you something first. What? I looked into the timing. Your mother signed those papers on January 15th. She was in the hospital that day, routine checkup. They have records of it, she was there all morning. So Marcus witnessed her signature that day, but according to the hospital records, she left at 11:30. The notary stamp on the documents shows 1:45 in the afternoon. I closed my eyes. She couldn't have signed at 1:45. No, she was home by then. I checked with her neighbor, Mrs. Patterson. She saw your mother come home around noon. So Marcus forged the time, or he had her sign something else and transferred the signature. Can we prove that? Maybe. I'll need to hire a forensic document examiner. It's going to cost. I don't care what it costs. Do it. There's something else. What? The investment company that bought the house. I did some digging. It's owned by a shell corporation, and that shell corporation is registered to an address in the city. Same building as Marcus's firm. I opened my eyes. He set this up. It looks that way. He planned this. He knew exactly what he was doing. Yes. I sat there in the parking lot until it got dark. Then I drove home. I didn't eat dinner. I sat at my desk and I pulled up every document I had, my business accounts, my investment portfolio, everything I'd built over the last 23 years while my family thought I was struggling. Patricia had helped me structure it all carefully. Multiple LLCs, trusts, asset protection. I'd learned early that if you have money, people treat you differently, sometimes worse. I'd wanted to build something real before anyone knew about it. By the time they figured it out, it would be too late to dismiss me. I'd hit my first million when Marcus was 17. Total net worth, not liquid. But still, $1 million. I'd never told anyone, not my mother, not my siblings, not even Marcus. I just kept working, kept building. By the time my mother died, I had just over $2.3 million, most of it invested, some of it in real estate. I owned 4 rental properties outright. The income from those alone was enough to live on comfortably, and my family still thought I needed help. I looked at the numbers on my screen, then I looked at the calendar. The funeral reception was in 2 days. Caroline was hosting. Everyone would be there, all the family, all the people who'd spent years underestimating me. I could have canceled, I could have stayed home, but Marcus would be there. And he would stand there in Caroline's beautiful house and tell everyone how he'd helped my mother, how he'd taken care of her, how he'd done what needed to be done. And no one would question him, because I was just Alina, the one with the little consulting business, the one who'd gotten pregnant too young and married the wrong man, the one who couldn't quite get it together. I picked up the phone. I called Patricia. I need you to pull together a summary, I said. Everything, my business. My assets, my net worth, I want it in writing. Why? Because I'm done being quiet. She was quiet for a moment. Alina, if you're planning what I think you're planning, what am I planning? Public confrontation at the reception. Maybe. That's not strategic, that's emotional. I'm allowed to be emotional. He stole from my mother. I know, and we're going to handle it legally. Through the courts, the right way. The right way takes years. Yes, but it works. I thought about that. I thought about sitting in conference rooms with lawyers for months. Years, maybe, going through discovery, depositions, watching Marcus lie under oath, watching him get away with it because he'd been clever enough to cover his tracks. Or I could do something else. Something that wouldn't hold up in court. Something that wouldn't get me the money back, but something that would make very clear who my son really was. I'll call you tomorrow, I said to Patricia. Alina, I'll call you tomorrow. I hung up. I sat at my desk for another hour. Then I went to my car and I drove to my mother's house. It was dark, empty. The new owners hadn't moved in yet. I still had a key. I let myself in. The house smelled the same. That particular smell of old wood and lavender soap that had always been my mother. I walked through the rooms. The living room where we'd opened Christmas presents. The kitchen where she'd taught me to make pie crust. The bedroom where she died. Her diary was still on the nightstand. The nursing staff had left it when they cleared out her medical equipment. I picked it up, I sat on her bed, and I read every entry from the last year of her life. Most of it was routine, doctor appointments, book club meetings, lunch with friends, but scattered throughout were entries about Marcus, about his visits, about the questions he asked, about the paperwork he tried to get her to sign. She'd been tracking it, all of it. She'd known something was wrong. She just hadn't known how to stop it. The last entry was from February 3rd, 5 days before she died. Marcus came by again today. He had more papers. He said they were just insurance forms. I told him to leave them and I'd look at them later. He said I needed to sign them today. I asked why the rush. He said there wasn't a rush, but it would be easier if I just signed now. I told him no. He got angry. He said I was making his life difficult. I told him that wasn't my job. He left. I'm so tired of this. I closed the diary. I sat there in my mother's dark bedroom, then I stood up. I took the diary with me, I locked the house behind me, and I drove to Caroline's house. It was late, after 10, but Caroline's lights were still on. I rang the doorbell. Robert answered. Elena, is everything okay? I need to talk to Caroline. It's kind of late, it's important. He let me in. Caroline came down the stairs in her bathrobe. She looked annoyed. What's going on? I need you to do something for me, I said. Now, at the reception, I need you to let me speak. Speak about what? About Marcus. Her expression changed. Elena, I don't think that's appropriate. He stole from Mom. He didn't steal, he told us. He handled the sale of her house. Did he tell you he took all the money? She blinked. What? $420,000. He put it in a joint account with Mom's name on it. Then he transferred it all to himself 2 days after she died. That can't be right. I pulled out my phone. I showed her the bank statements Patricia had gotten. She read them. Her hand went to her throat. Oh my God. That house was supposed to be split between the three of us. He took everything. Does David know? Not yet. Elena, we need to handle this privately. He made it public. He stood up at the funeral and announced it to everyone. That's different. He was being transparent. He was lying. You don't know that. I showed her the diary entry from February 3rd. She read it. When she looked up, her eyes were wet. I didn't know he was pressuring her like that. None of us did, because he made sure to do it when we weren't around. She handed my phone back. She sat down on her stairs. She looked smaller somehow, older. What do you want to do? She asked. I want to read from her diary at the reception. I want everyone to hear what she actually thought about him. That's cruel. Is it? He's your son, and she was our mother. Caroline looked at me, really looked at me. You've changed. No, you just never paid attention before. She didn't argue with that. She just sat there on her stairs in her expensive bathrobe in her expensive house, and she nodded. Okay, she said. You can speak at the reception. That was how I ended up standing in Caroline's living room reading my mother's diary out loud while 63 people listened. That was how I ended up watching my son's face turn red and then white and then red again. That was how I ended up taking a phone call from his lawyer while my whole family stared at me. I walked outside to take the call. It was cold, February in the Midwest. I could see my breath. Mrs. Harrison, this is Michael Chen. I represent your son. I know who you are. We need to discuss the documents you read from this evening. My mother's diary? Yes, that's private property. It could be considered defamatory. It's her diary. It's her thoughts. How is that defamatory? The implications are that my son manipulated his grandmother into selling her house and then took all the money for himself. Those aren't implications. Those are facts. He was quiet for a moment. Then, I'd like to propose a meeting. Tomorrow morning. My office. You, me, your attorney, and Marcus. We can discuss a resolution. What kind of resolution? That depends on what you want. I want the money back, all of it, split 3 ways like my mother intended. I'll need to discuss that with my client. You do that. I hung up. I stood there in Caroline's driveway. The front door opened. David came out. You okay? He asked. No, that was intense. I know. I had no idea Marcus was like that. Neither did I. He stood next to me. We both looked up at the sky. Clear night, you could see stars, rare for the city. What are you going to do? He asked. I'm going to make him give it back. And if he doesn't, then I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly who he is. David nodded. I'll back you, whatever you need. Thanks. Caroline will too. She's shaken up, but she'll come around. I don't need her to come around, I just need her to stay out of my way. David looked at me. When did you get so cold? I'm not cold, I'm just done pretending. Pretending what? That I'm the one who needs help. He didn't understand. I could see it in his face. But that was okay. He'd understand eventually, they all would. The meeting was scheduled for 9 in the morning. Patricia met me at her office at 8. We went over everything. The diary entries, the bank statements, the timeline of the sale, the forged notary stamp. Here's what's going to happen, Patricia said. Michael is going to try to negotiate a settlement. He'll offer partial repayment. Maybe half. Maybe less. He'll frame it as Marcus being willing to share the inheritance even though legally he doesn't have to. And what do? We say no. We tell them we have evidence of fraud and elder abuse. We tell them we're prepared to file criminal charges. Can we actually do that? The criminal charges are a stretch, but they don't know that. And the fraud case is solid. The notary time discrepancy alone is enough to challenge the sale. What if he calls our bluff? Then we file a civil suit. We sue for the full amount plus damages. It'll take time, but we'll win. How much time? 18 months, maybe 2 years. I thought about that. 2 years of legal battles. 2 years of watching Marcus lie in depositions. 2 years of my family treating me like I was being vindictive, or I could settle today, take half the money, split it with Caroline and David, move on, but that wasn't what my mother would have wanted. She'd wanted me to fight. She'd been fighting Marcus for months. She'd written it all down, she'd left me a roadmap. No settlement, I said. We get it all back or we go to court. Patricia smiled. Good. We drove to Michael Chen's office together. It was downtown, 20th floor of a glass building. Expensive. Marcus was already there when we arrived. So was Michael. They were in a conference room. Marcus didn't look at me when I walked in. Michael stood up. He was younger than I expected, maybe 35, good suit, confident handshake. Mrs. Harrison. Thank you for coming. Let's get this over with, I said. We sat down. Patricia pulled out a folder. She laid out the documents one by one, the diary entries, the bank statements, the timeline, the notary discrepancy. Michael looked at each one. His expression didn't change. When Patricia finished, he looked at Marcus. Did you know about the notary time issue? He asked. Marcus shifted in his chair. I don't know what you're talking about. The documents show your grandmother signed at 1:45 in the afternoon, but hospital records show she was home by noon. The notary wasn't at her house. Maybe the time is wrong. Notaries are required to record the exact time. It's a legal requirement. Marcus looked at me. This is ridiculous. You're making up problems because you're mad I inherited something. You didn't inherit it, I said. You stole it. I didn't steal anything. Grandma gave me access to that account. She wanted me to have that money. Patricia leaned forward. Then you won't mind if we subpoena the notary who witnessed the signature. We can ask them directly where and when the signing took place. Marcus went quiet. Michael wrote something on his legal pad. Here's what I'm proposing, Michael said. Marcus will return half the proceeds from the sale, $210,000, split between you and your siblings. In exchange, you drop any legal action. No, I said. Mrs. Harrison, he took $420,000. He returns $420,000. That's not realistic. Then we'll see you in court. I stood up. Patricia stood up with me. We walked to the door. Michael called after us. Mrs. Harrison, please, let's be reasonable. I turned around. I looked at Marcus. He was staring at the table. I gave you $65,000 when you graduated college, I said. Money I'd been saving since you were born. I gave you everything I had. And you paid me back by stealing from your dying grandmother. He looked up then. You don't understand? I understand perfectly. You thought she was an easy target. You thought no one would check. You thought you could take the money and tell everyone she'd wanted you to have it and we'd all believe you because you're the golden grandson. That's not, but you made one mistake. You forgot that she was documenting everything, every visit, every conversation, every time you tried to manipulate her. She wrote it all down because she knew exactly what you were doing. Marcus's lawyer put his hand on Marcus's arm. Don't say anything else. But Marcus shook him off. He stood up. You want to know the truth? Fine. Yes, I sold her house. Yes, I took the money because she was going to lose it anyway. She was getting old. She was forgetting things. Someone was going to take advantage of her eventually. At least this way it stayed in the family. It didn't stay in the family, I said. You kept it all for yourself. Because I deserved it. I was the one visiting her. I was the one helping her. Where were you? Where was Caroline? Where was David? You were all too busy with your own lives to pay attention to her. So this was what? A service fee? It was fair compensation. I laughed. I couldn't help it. Fair compensation. You stole $420,000 from your grandmother, and you think that's fair compensation for occasional grocery runs. It wasn't occasional, it was constant, and it wasn't just grocery runs. I fixed things in her house. I drove her to appointments. I was there. You were there because you were planning this. He didn't deny it. He just stood there. His lawyer looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. We're done here, Michael said. This conversation is over. Good, I said. See you in court. Patricia and I left. We took the elevator down in silence. When we got to the parking garage, I leaned against her car. That went well, Patricia said. He confessed. He did, but his lawyer will claim it was under duress, won't hold up in court. So what now? Now we file civil suit for fraud and conversion of assets. We'll also file a complaint with the notary board about the time discrepancy. That'll open an investigation. How long? 6 months to get a court date, then it depends on how much they drag it out. And if we win. He has to return the full amount plus interest and legal fees. Plus possible criminal charges if the notary investigation finds evidence of fraud. I nodded. Do it. Patricia pulled out her phone. She made a call. I heard her talking to someone at her office. Setting up the filing, I walked to my own car. I sat in the driver's seat. I didn't start the engine, I just sat there. My phone buzzed. Text from Caroline. Are you okay? I typed back. Fine. Another text. David told me what happened, I'm sorry. Nothing to be sorry for. I should have known something was wrong. I didn't respond to that. Caroline had her own guilt to work through. That wasn't my problem. Another text came in, this one from a number I didn't recognize. This is Amy, Marcus's fiancée, we need to talk. I stared at that for a long moment, then I called the number. She answered on the first ring. Elena, what do you want? I want to explain. Explain what? How you stood by while my son stole from his grandmother? I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. You knew he sold the house. He told me she asked him to, he said she wanted his help. And you believed him? She was quiet. Then, I wanted to believe him, he's my fiancé, I love him. That's not my problem. I know, I thought you should know that I broke off the engagement, tonight. After the reception, I told him I couldn't marry someone who would do that. I closed my eyes. Good for you. I'm sorry, for what he did, for not seeing it sooner. Are you testifying? What? In court? Are you testifying about what he told you, about the house? Another silence, longer this time. If I'm subpoenaed, yes. And if you're not, I don't know. Then this conversation is pointless. I hung up, I started my car, I drove home. It was almost noon, I hadn't eaten breakfast. I wasn't hungry anyway. I spent the rest of the day working. I had actual work to do, clients, contracts, a business that didn't stop just because my family was imploding. I made calls. I sent emails. I reviewed proposals, normal things that made sense. Around 6, David called. How'd the meeting go? He confessed. His lawyer nearly had a stroke. Is that good for us? Patricia says it won't hold up in court, but it confirms what we already knew. So what's next? We file suit, then we wait. I'll help however I can. Thanks. Caroline wants to help too. Tell her she can start by not defending him. She's not defending him, she's processing. We're all processing, David. I know, but you seem really calm. Are you actually okay? I thought about that. Was I okay? My son had stolen from my mother. My family had spent decades underestimating me. I was about to sue my own child. I'm fine, I said. Elena, I have to go, I have a call. I didn't have a call, I just didn't want to talk anymore. I hung up. I sat at my desk. I pulled up my financial statements, all those numbers, all those years of work. All those moments of being dismissed and overlooked while I built something real. And for what? So my son could steal from his grandmother? So my family could finally see me as something other than the one who needed help? My phone buzzed again. Another text. This one from Marcus. We need to talk. I deleted it. Then I blocked his number. Then I poured myself a glass of wine and I sat on my couch and I thought about what came next. The lawsuit would take months, maybe years. Patricia was good, but Marcus's lawyer was good too. They'd fight. They'd drag it out, they'd try to settle, they'd make it ugly, and through all of it I'd have to watch my family choose sides. Caroline would probably stay neutral. David would support me, but quietly. The extended family would gossip. Some of them would think I was being vindictive. Some would think Marcus deserved another chance. But none of that mattered, because my mother had written it all down. She'd left me the truth. And the truth was going to cost Marcus everything he'd stolen and more. I finished my wine. I went to bed. Tomorrow, Patricia would file the paperwork. Tomorrow, this would all become official. Tomorrow, my son would learn what it cost to underestimate me. But tonight, I slept better than I had in weeks. Patricia filed the lawsuit on a Tuesday morning. Civil suit for fraud, conversion of assets, and elder abuse. The filing made it into the local legal news. Small item. Most people wouldn't see it. But the people who mattered would. I got a call from Caroline that afternoon. It's in the paper. I know. Elena, this is going to get ugly. It already is ugly, I'm just making it official. She was quiet for a moment. Then, David and I talked. We want to be listed as plaintiffs too. If that house was supposed to be split 3 ways, then we're all owed money. You don't have to do that. Yes, we do. He stole from all of us. I closed my eyes. Okay, I'll tell Patricia. There's something else. Mom's birthday is coming up, March 23rd. We always do the family dinner. I don't know if we should cancel it. Or we could do it anyway, show that we're still a family. We're not still a family, not the way we were. Elena, I'll come to the dinner, but I'm not pretending everything is fine. I'm not asking you to pretend, I'm asking you to try. I thought about that, about sitting at a table with Marcus. Watching him smile and make small talk like he hadn't stolen $420,000 from his dying grandmother. I'll be there, I said, but I'm not making promises about how it goes. The dinner was at Caroline's house, same place as the funeral reception. I almost didn't go. I sat in my car in her driveway for 10 minutes before I got out. David met me at the door. You okay? Ask me later. Inside, the house was full. Caroline had invited everyone. Aunts, uncles, cousins, the whole extended family. My mother's birthday had always been a big deal. She would have been 73. Marcus was in the living room. Amy wasn't with him. He was talking to our cousin Jason. When he saw me, he stopped mid-sentence. Jason looked between us, then found somewhere else to be. I walked to the kitchen. Caroline was at the stove, stirring something. She looked up when I came in. He's here. I saw. I told him he could come. I don't know what I thought. It's fine. It's not fine. Nothing about this is fine. I poured myself water from the pitcher on the counter. My hands were steady. That surprised me. I'd expected to be nervous, but I just felt tired. Dinner was at 6. Caroline had set the dining room table. The good china, the cloth napkins, a centerpiece with white lilies, my mother's favorite. We sat down, 17 people around the table. I was between David and my Aunt Janet. Marcus was across from me, 3 seats down. He didn't look at me. He kept his eyes on his plate. Caroline stood up. She had a glass of wine in her hand. I want to thank everyone for coming. I know this year has been hard. Losing Mom it's been the hardest thing we've ever gone through as a family. People nodded. Someone said, to Margaret. Caroline raised her glass. To Mom, we miss you. We all drank. I set my glass down. I looked at Marcus. He was looking at Caroline. His expression was blank. The meal was quiet at first. People passed dishes. Made small talk, the weather, work. The usual things. Then my Uncle Frank cleared his throat. I heard about the lawsuit. The table went still. Caroline closed her eyes. David put his fork down. Frank, maybe we shouldn't, my Aunt Janet started. No, I want to understand. Marcus sold Margaret's house, that's what I heard, and now there's a lawsuit. Marcus looked up. It's a misunderstanding. What kind of misunderstanding involves $400,000? It's complicated. Explain it then. Marcus glanced at Caroline. She was staring at her plate. No help there. Grandma asked me to handle the sale of her house. I did. The money went into an account with both our names on it. After she died, I transferred it to my personal account. That's legal. It was a joint account. But the house was supposed to go to her kids, Frank said, not her grandson. She changed her mind. Did she, or did you change it for her? The color started rising in Marcus's neck. I don't have to explain myself to you. You're sitting at my sister's birthday dinner, you damn well do. I set my napkin on the table. I stood up. Everyone looked at me. I have something to say. Caroline's voice came out tight. Elena, please. Marcus claims our mother asked him to sell her house, that she gave him access to the money willingly, that everything he did was legal and above board. Marcus pushed his chair back. I'm not doing this. Sit down. He stood there. I could see him calculating. Walk out and look guilty. Stay and face whatever I was about to say. He sat down. I pulled a folder out of my bag. I'd brought it just in case. Patricia had prepared copies of everything. I opened it. Our mother kept a diary. She documented every conversation she had with Marcus about the house, every time he pressured her, every time she said no, every time he showed up with paperwork she didn't ask for. I pulled out the first page. I slid it across the table to Frank. He read it. His jaw tightened. Pass it around, I said. The pages went from person to person. I watched faces change as they read. Confusion, then understanding, then anger. Marcus's lawyer had told him not to speak to me, but he couldn't help himself. Those are private. You had no right. They're evidence, and they show exactly what you did. My cousin Melissa looked up from the page she was reading. You threatened her. It says right here you told her she'd regret not listening to you. I was trying to help her. By threatening her? I never threatened anyone. I was warning her that she could lose money if she waited too long to sell. That's not what this says. Frank held up another page. This says you brought an appraiser to her house without her permission. She had to ask you to leave. Marcus stood up again. You're all acting like I'm some kind of criminal. I took care of her. I was there when none of you were. You were there because you wanted her house. I pulled out another document, the bank statements. I slid those across the table too. Joint account, opened in December of 2023, 1 month before the house sold. Our mother deposited nothing into this account. Marcus deposited nothing. But somehow, $420,000 appeared in it on January 20th, 1 day after the house closed. David picked up the statement. He studied it. Then he looked at Marcus. Where did the money go? That's none of your business. It's absolutely my business. That money was supposed to be split between me, Elena, and Caroline. According to who? According to Mom's will. The will didn't mention the house specifically. I pulled out the next document. Actually, it did. Patricia obtained a copy. Mom updated it in November of 2023, 2 months before you somehow convinced her to sell. The house was to be sold after her death and proceeds split equally among her 3 children. You're not listed anywhere. Marcus's face was red now. Full color, he looked at the door, then back at me. She told me she wanted me to have it. When? In January. Which day in January? I don't remember. Try. I don't, it was mid-January. I pulled out the hospital records. Patricia had subpoenaed them. Our mother was admitted to the hospital on January 10th with chest pains, false alarm. They kept her overnight for observation. She was discharged on January 11th at 9 in the morning. She went home. According to her neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, she stayed home for the next week, didn't go out, didn't have visitors except for her home health aide. Marcus opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. The papers you had her sign are dated January 15th, notarized at 1:45 in the afternoon. But she was home that day. The notary wasn't at her house, so where was she when she signed? I brought the notary to her. The notary's office is 23 miles from Mom's house. The notary's records show no house calls that day. Just office appointments. Robert, Caroline's husband, leaned forward. Are you saying he forged it? I'm saying the timeline doesn't match, and when timelines don't match, someone is lying. Marcus's hands were shaking. He shoved them under the table. You're twisting everything. Am I? Let's talk about the investment company that bought the house. Prestige Holdings LLC, registered in Delaware, owned by a parent company called Summit Ventures. Summit Ventures is registered to an address in the city. Same building as your firm, same floor actually. My cousin Jason set down his wine glass with too much force. Red wine sloshed onto the white tablecloth. You set up a shell company to buy your own grandmother's house? That's not what happened. Then what happened? Marcus looked around the table. Every face was turned toward him. No one was eating anymore. No one was pretending to be somewhere else. I had business partners. They wanted to invest in real estate. I told them about the house. They made an offer. At below market value, I said. The house was appraised at $470,000 in December. They bought it for $420,000, $50,000 below appraisal. That's how negotiations work, not when you're negotiating with yourself. Caroline's voice came out quiet, small. Marcus, please tell me you didn't do this. He turned to her. Aunt Caroline, you have to understand. I don't understand any of this. I needed the money. The room went completely silent. For 4 full seconds, no one said anything. Then Frank laughed, not a real laugh, a sharp, bitter sound. You needed it for what? Another car? I have expenses. We all have expenses. We don't steal from dying old women to pay them. Marcus's voice rose. I didn't steal. She gave me access to that account. She signed the papers. Everything was legal. I pulled out the last document, the one Patricia had gotten from the forensic document examiner. The signature on the deed transfer papers doesn't match our mother's signature from the same time period. The pressure points are different. The slant is wrong, and there are indicators of tracing. David reached for the document. I passed it to him. He read it slowly. When he looked up, his face was pale. You forged her signature. No, this report says you did. That report is from some expert you paid to say whatever you wanted. The expert works for the state. She's testified in over 200 cases. Her credentials are impeccable. Marcus stood up. His chair scraped against the floor. I'm leaving? Sit down, I said. No, I don't have to listen to this. Yes, you do, because in 3 weeks you're going to be sitting in a courtroom listening to all of this again. And this time it won't just be family, it'll be a judge and possibly criminal investigators. He stopped moving. Criminal? Forgery is a felony, elder abuse is a felony, fraud is a felony. His voice came out different. Higher. You wouldn't. I already did. Patricia filed a complaint with the district attorney's office. They're reviewing the evidence now. Caroline stood up. Her hands were shaking. Elena, you're going to send your own son to prison. I'm going to make sure he faces consequences for what he did. He's your child, and she was our mother. Marcus backed toward the door. You're insane, all of you. You're acting like I committed some horrible crime. I helped her. I took care of her. I was there. You were there waiting for her to die, Frank said. His voice was flat, hard. You circled her like a vulture. That's not true. Then where's the money, Marcus? If you were just helping her, if this was all legitimate, where did $420,000 go? Marcus didn't answer. He just stood there, his back against the wall, looking at all of us. I pulled out my phone. I opened my banking app. I turned the screen toward him. This is my business account. Current balance, $1.7 million. This is my investment account. Current balance, $653,000. This is my real estate portfolio. Current value, $940,000. The room was completely still. I don't need mom's money, I never did, I built this myself, over 23 years, while you and everyone else in this family assumed I was barely getting by. Caroline's voice was barely a whisper. Elena, I stayed quiet because I wanted to see who I could trust, who would support me without knowing I had money, who would dismiss me because they thought I had nothing. I looked at Marcus. You failed that test. You stole from a woman who loved you because you thought no one would stop you. You thought I couldn't afford to fight you. You were wrong. His back hit the wall. He couldn't go any farther. I'll pay it back. Too late. I'll return the full amount plus interest, whatever you want. I want you to face what you did. Please. His voice cracked, actually cracked. I'll do anything. I put my phone away. I looked at my family, at Caroline, who was crying, at David, who couldn't look at Marcus, at Frank, whose hands were clenched into fists, at all of them. The lawsuit moves forward, the criminal complaint stands, and Marcus is no longer welcome at family events. Caroline made a sound, half sob, half gasp. You can't just, I can, and I am. I walked to the door. I stopped next to Marcus. He was crying now, real tears, not manipulation, just fear. You told me I didn't have anything worth leaving you. You were right. I don't have anything to leave someone who would steal from his own grandmother. I left. I walked out to my car. My hands were shaking now. The adrenaline was wearing off. I sat in the driver's seat and I gripped the steering wheel and I breathed. My phone rang. Patricia. How'd it go? I told them everything. Good. Michael Chen called me today. He wants to settle. What's he offering? Full repayment, $420,000, plus $50,000 in damages. Split 3 ways between you, Caroline, and David. Marcus admits no wrongdoing but agrees to return the funds. And the criminal complaint? He wants that dropped. I closed my eyes. $470,000 total, split 3 ways, $156,666 each, plus the satisfaction of knowing Marcus had to give it all back, or I could push forward. Criminal charges, a trial, watching my son potentially go to prison. What do you think I should do? Patricia was quiet for a moment. I think you should ask yourself what your mother would want. I thought about that, about my mother's diary, about all those entries documenting what Marcus had done. She'd been preparing evidence. She'd been building a case, but she'd also been protecting him, not confronting him directly, not cutting him off. She'd loved him, even when he was manipulating her, even when he was stealing from her. She'd loved him. Michael will take the settlement, but I want something else. What? I want Marcus to write a letter to the whole family, admitting what he did, apologizing, taking full responsibility, and I want him to read it out loud at the next family gathering. Elena, that's the deal, money plus public accountability, or we go to trial. I'll tell him, she called back 2 hours later. He agreed. The settlement was signed 1 week later. The money was transferred into an escrow account. Patricia verified the funds, then she distributed them. $156,666 to me, same to Caroline, same to David. I put my share into a trust, for Marcus's future children if he ever had any. They'd get it when they turned 25, he'd never see a penny of it. The letter reading happened 3 weeks after that. Another family dinner, smaller this time, just immediate family. Me, Caroline, David, and Marcus. He stood at the head of the table. Had the letter in his hands. His hands were shaking, he read it, every word, about how he'd manipulated our mother, how he'd forged documents, how he'd stolen from her, how he'd lied to all of us. When he finished, he looked at me. I'm sorry. I didn't say anything. I know that's not enough, I know I can't fix this, but I'm sorry. Caroline was crying again. David was staring at his plate. I just sat there. You're not forgiven, I said, and you won't be, not by me. He nodded. He set the letter on the table. Then he left. That was 8 months ago. I haven't spoken to Marcus since. He sends cards sometimes. Birthday cards, holiday cards, I don't open them. I give them to Patricia. She keeps them in a file in case we ever need evidence of continued contact attempts. Caroline talks to him occasionally. She says he's in therapy, that he's trying to change. I don't care if he's trying to change. He showed me who he was, I believe him. David doesn't speak to him either. His kids ask about Marcus sometimes. David tells them Marcus made some mistakes and needs time to figure things out. That's David's way, always protecting people. My business is doing well, better than well. I signed 3 new contracts this quarter. Total value, $1.2 million. I'm hiring 2 new consultants. I'm expanding. And I'm done hiding what I've built. I'm done pretending to be less than I am so other people feel comfortable. Last month I bought a new car, something nice. Something that says I've made it. Caroline saw it when I drove to her house for Sunday dinner. That's beautiful, she said. Thank you. You've done really well for yourself. I have. She looked at me, really looked at me. I'm sorry I didn't see it before. I know. I should have known. I should have paid attention. Yes, you should have, she nodded. She didn't make excuses. She didn't try to explain it away. She just nodded. We're not the same as we were. The family, we're smaller now, quieter. But we're honest. No more pretending, no more dismissing each other. We see each other now, really see each other. My mother would have liked that. She spent her whole life trying to keep everyone together, trying to make peace. But sometimes peace costs too much. Sometimes the price of keeping everyone together is letting someone get away with something unforgivable. I wasn't willing to pay that price. And I'm not sorry. So did I go too far or not far enough? Tell me in the comments.